matchup. Is there anything else really looking at this that you really have to look out for as we're heading into this game number 1?
But definitely the big charms on Pablo's side. That's a huge card for the Arceus deck. It can protect your Arceus Vs before they become Arceus V-Stars, and it also makes your Arceus V-Star make them
cards out. Again, Elena's going to be running that Mew VMAX deck, and Pablo going to be on that Inteleon Arceus V-Star deck. A lot of cute cards in there too. Hopefully we'll be able to showcase those for you in there. I believe playing that 1/1 Bieberol line as well. Is similar to that Abyssal Hand ability on the Octillery. As we'll put prize cards out. Ooh, 2 Elisa Sparkle and a Fusion Energy in the prizes. More notably, we've seen players take these prizes from the bottom to the top. That Fusion Energy in those last 2 prize cards means that for the majority of the game, almost, we could see Melodious Echo not able to deal 280 damage, which is a big deal. It's on par still with a powerful attack like the Techno Blast, but at the same time, right, you want to be dealing that big amounts of damage and really just try to make the game a landslide in this matchup.
Pablo did prize 1 copy of Sharon's Care. There are 2 copies in the list, but this card is very key in this matchup. Once Pablo gets set up, kind of the goal that he wants to go for is to make these big Arceus V-Stars that it's difficult for Mew VMAX to one-hit KO. And if you're able to do that, you can just get the Sharon's Care loop going and slow things down quite a bit.
Oh, there is nothing in this hand here for Elena. 3 Power Tablet.
Oh.
Just has a Rotom phone to find, but there's no way to draw any cards. And oh, look at that 2
all those VIP passes.
Where are you in that hand? It's not anywhere. And I did find Ultra Ball, so I believe that is going to go ahead and be brought to the top of the deck, so you can at least draw some cards the following turn, then hand out a little bit, find some Pokemon. But a big whiff here for turn 1, and this also opens up the door for Path to go into play, and I don't even think I saw any stadiums in that hand to get removed. And this is a terrible start here for Elena, and Pablo's got to be saying, I didn't see 5 Battle Pass turn 1. No crazy shenanigans and energies. It's exactly what I want to see. And even committing the double turbo to the active to have a pivoting option for the following turn. Could potentially attack with it later on, right? Those fusion energies provide every type of energy. And this is exactly what you want to see here if you're Pablo. Another Arceus down, the double turbo energy to use the Trinity Nova right off the way. I believe, right? Be able to power up the other Pokemon.
Charge,
Trinity Charge. Trinity Nova, the V-Stars attack. Trinity Charge on the basic V. My mistake there. But able to grab the Sobble off the quick ball, set up the board. Excellent start for Pablo. The complete opposite of Elena's start.
Choosing to grab a Sobble off of the quick ball, you want to get those in play quickly so you can start to shady dealings in the future turns. Also could have grabbed Bidoof potentially. That's another important card to set up on turn 1 if you can. And this is looking excellent for Pablo. Research can ditch the hand and draw 7. The double turbo on the active Arceus means it's already ready for a Trinity Charge to put some water energies onto the benched Arceus. Things are looking pretty ideal for Pablo and way less than ideal for Elena.
Yeah, it's an excellent hand. Has 2 level balls, so going to go ahead and grab one of those Sobbles for this turn and then keep the other one to grab a Drizzile the following turn to maybe find something like a Evolution Incense to get that Arceus V-Star out. But I can't forget about the Bieberol line, right? Able to get Bidoof down. It's so awesome to see this card as a competitive card now, because that means decks have to run Bidoof, right, to get Bieberol. And look at that artwork. It's an absolutely cute card as well. And an important line too, right? So able to go ahead and utilize Trinity Charge. 3 energy out of the deck. That is a 5 energy combination of 2 Arceus on turn 1.
Yeah, Trinity Charge is just an insane attack. Even if Arceus V-Star didn't exist, I think that this Arceus V would be a played card just because of how strong it is to pull these energies out of the deck on turn 1. Makes it even better whenever this Arceus V becomes an even more powerful Arceus V-Star.
Yeah, I'm sort of getting more hand knowledge as we're seeing throughout this. That hand had 3 Power Tablet and 2 Boss in it. No thinnable cards.
Elena, you should have shuffled better. It's all clumped up there. That is less than ideal for sure, because those Power Tablets are key cards in this matchup to reach for KOs later on. You can obviously burn them here, but if you're burning them here, that means you're not going to have access to them when you're trying to hit for one-hit knockouts on an Arceus V-Star that has a Big Charm on it. But you have to draw the cards to play the game.
It has to burn 3 Power Tablet, and that means the maximum you can do is 240 with 1 more, because your Fusion Energy is also prized, and I found a Meloetta, so that is at least good. Can draw one more card here off of this other Genesect, but it looks like at this point...
Some other playable card, debating on it.
Looking and considering maybe something like an Elisa Sparkle here, potentially. Not the best things. No, it actually is the Fusion Energy.
Oh, this is risky. Elena needs to find the Elisa Sparkle, otherwise Pablo could just target this Meloetta down potentially, but has a bunch of cards to play here. Okay, so things are kind of rolling now for Elena. Can use the Rose Tower, draw a couple more. Cramomatic in the hand is an option.
One time?
Let's see our first coin flip here come out. But the card to discard, the only option is Echoing Horn, and that's another hugely important card in the mid to late game.
It's heads!
There we go.
That's a big heads.
Cramomatic hits the heads, can grab Elisa Sparkle from the deck, and we'll see a turn 2 knockout.
As a big-time heads flip. Kind of deserved it right after that.
Yeah, I think so.
I at least think so. Able to find that off the Cramomatic. It's sort of a card we haven't really seen as many coin flip cards be prevalent for the sole fact that it is a coin flip card. It has the unique effect of if you play it and it flips tails, it just does nothing. Crushing Hammer, though, another exception to that rule, saw a lot of play. And even a card like Pokemon Catcher, another coin flip card back in the day, still seeing play as well. And making sure to, again, announce the targets for Elisa Sparkle before searching through the deck. It's important. There are plenty of things you can attach these energies to. So we'll see that go ahead and go down to the Genesect and the Meloetta, of course. And at this point, still no Mew down into play. Did still find the Genesect, so has one more Fusion Strike system to go ahead and draw some more cards up. Can you go ahead and draw 3 more cards here? Looking for a Mew. You've already gone through a lot of resources at this point. 3 Power Tablet. You're about to get rid of a double Turbo Energy, which is just going to leave you with 1 left in the deck, I believe. 2 more left in the deck. And this is kind of where things get tricky. Does find the Quick Ball, though, and the Mew VMAX. There's some cards you really don't want to discard, though, off of that. I mean, you could just kind of use the Rotom Phone, but it's going to have to get rid of that 1 copy of Marnie out of the deck. And this is, or possibly could get rid of the Mew VMAX as well. I feel like you want to keep the Marnie because it's a great card that Pablo doesn't have information on right away, especially when you feel safe to build your hand up with a bunch of pieces. You kind of can just go ahead and play the Marnie, and at that point you kind of throw all those to the bottom, and now they have to work off of what they get off the 4 cards. So
yeah, I think getting rid of the Mew VMAX is a bit better than getting rid of Marnie. If you get rid of Marnie and Pablo puts Path to the Peak in play, you just actually can't do anything on the next turn. So I think you have to get a Mew down. Now, this is where things get a little interesting. Pablo can choose to boss and KO the Mew so that there's no Mew VMAX threat, but if Pablo does that, Meloetta is still ready to keep hitting. So you have to deal with this Meloetta. So Elena only needed to get 1 Mew V in play because Pablo really just can't ignore this Meloetta.
Yeah, these are going to be big prizes here for Elena. Again, there is nothing if a Path to the Peak comes down and a knockout on this Meloetta. There's no response, and without that, it's just free to go ahead and use Trinity Nova over and over again, apply pressure, and here we go. Going to go ahead and take the knockout onto that Arceus V, dealing 300 damage there, actually, because of the triple Power Tablet played that turn. Plenty to knock out the Arceus V.
Yep.
More than enough is a better word to say it, and that's going to come back to hurt Elena later on. But Level Ball, grabbing the Drizzile means that Evolution Incense can get grabbed out of the deck, as we see that last copy in the deck. Going to be able to grab the Arceus V-Star, and I'm sure we're going to see this V-Star power come down into play soon to guarantee something like the Path to the Peak. I think just debating if you want to go ahead and play the Marnie first and see what cards you get, but no, V-Star power, Starbirth V-Star. You're going to go ahead and grab any 2 cards out of the deck. It looks like eyeing up another Arceus, and I have to imagine Path has to be the card you're looking for here at this point. Obviously, not knowing that Elena does not have any outs in this current hand, you got to kind of sometimes give your opponent the benefit of the doubt that they played with an out in hand or some sort of an out, especially when your opponent discards a Marnie. It's kind of saying, hey, I have an option for the following.
I think Elena actually chose to keep that Marnie.
Oh, yeah.
It's also kind of interesting because Elena was debating getting rid of the Marnie, and it definitely was shown. So Pablo saw that Marnie was in hand, like almost certainly. So that gives Pablo a little bit more information to work with. And that's one of the reasons I love playing Marnie in Mew. I've actually been playing it in my list as well recently because it just gives you an extra option whenever your opponent puts Path to the Peak in play. You can draw cards without having to have a Stadium in play.
And it looks like not playing anything like the Marnie there. Just going to go ahead and take the knockout with Trinity Nova, accelerating another water, I believe the last water in the deck to that Arceus V. But there are still a few double Turbo Energy in the deck to allow that Arceus to attack. Does not find the other V-Star off the prizes. That could definitely have been a nice grab, but looks like does already have double turbo as action is back on Elena. Already has them already. Pablo's well aware. Going to go ahead and play that. Both players shuffling hands at the bottom. Not opting the cut. Just going to go ahead and throw those on the bottom. Pablo's going to get 4 cards. Elena going to go ahead and grab 5. And got to put something together here. You are ahead on prizes right now, but that could change very, very quickly, especially when there is really no way to knock out this Arceus V-Star down 3 power tablets. Ooh, discarding a damage modifier in that choice belt. We'll see what the total percentage is here. Flips on there, but flip number 2 coming in.
Ooh, that's a Tails.
Yeah, it's a Tails. Double checking to make sure that is a 1. Has another one though. Here we go.
Yep.
You gotta get excited here. This could be big here. Could find something like the double turbo energy out of the deck.
That's another Tails.
Another
the last card in hand is a Mew V. If either of those Cram-O-Matics' heads, Elena can just easily grab a Stadium and draw a ton of cards this turn, but now just has to bench the Mew V, goes to 0 cards in hand, and passes it over to Pablo, and Pablo is just absolutely in the driver's seat right now. Therian comes down. Shady Dealings gets any 2 trainer cards from the deck. This could get Boss's Orders to target down a Mew potentially, or just take the 2 prize knockout on the Genesect, establish your board a little bit more. This is just the ideal spot for Pablo whenever he knows Elena's in top deck mode.
Yeah, you're aware your opponent is pretty much living on a prayer at this point, right? Try to figure something out and understands, hey, I can set up here. I think taking a knock on the Genesect is fine, right? It's almost the same for anything. So I think understands that line. Going to go ahead and grab the Melanie and Ultra Ball off of that Shady Dealings. Gonna go ahead and get those into hand. I'm sure we'll see both those get played. Has the Water Energy already in discard pile after that Arceus V-Star was knocked out after using that attack to go ahead and power it up in the active. As we do see the Melody get played. 3 cards going to be drawn here for Pablo. And also being able to get down another Sobble is great. And some great cards there as well. Finds the Echoing Horn as well as the Collapse Stadium potentially later on, but it's still looking very dominant. Pablo, in no rush to bump his path to the peak, is very content.
Absolutely
staying here. He's like, oh, this is what I want here, right? I like having paths to the peak in the play. And after you've used your V-Star power, after you've used Starbirth, there's no other V Pokemon in this list that have abilities, so you're free to just keep it in play. And if your opponent bumps it, that's why this deck plays another variety of stadiums to cover a lot more options from the opponent. As we do see the Beeper come down, Industrious and Scissors, got the big teeth, right? Chewing through your deck a little bit to draw some more cards. So.
I love establishing this card as quickly as possible because the longer it's in play, the more value you get out of it, and the more cards it draws makes it just so much better as the game continues on. Pablo was debating discarding the Collapse Stadium off that Ultra Ball, chose to keep it, which I definitely am a fan of. If Elena does eventually top deck a different stadium, to get out of this kind of unfortunate situation where they're not able to draw any cards, playing Collapse Stadium can limit the amount of Fusion Strike Pokemon in play, which even though Path to the Peak's not in play, it still means that Fusion Strike system sees less.
Yeah, and great draw there. Finds the Water Energy.
And Elena's going to scoop.
Yeah, Elena understands that another turn of
Didn't top deck
passing.
something good there. I think if you get a Stadium there, you can still potentially come back into this game, but by not getting literally a Stadium card was pretty much the only good top deck there for Elena. By not finding it, Pablo was just in too dominant of a spot, and that's a pretty quick and swift Game 1 win for Pablo Meza.
I'm telling you, Path to the Peak is essentially this deck's answer to Mew. Already Path to the Peak, you can guarantee it with something like the Starbirth, and you have a lot of options to work through, a lot of pressure, and to really just apply over and over again disruption while attacking. It's not a disruption in the sense of, oh, you're trying to stall things out or discard energy. It's really, I'm trying to not allow you to draw through your deck, and in response, you're not allowed to attack. And we're going to Game 2. Obviously, there are some key things that we understood about Game 1, not being able to draw through your cards, not getting Battle VIP pass. But besides the obvious, besides the main things we're drawing, what do we really need to see here from Elena in this matchup to put themselves in a better spot?
Yeah, just getting all those fusion, those damage modifiers, those power tablets in hand on turn 1 is not great. Not finding Battle VIP passes turn 1, that's really kind of the thing that gets this deck cooking. Whenever you can get Battle VIP pass on turn 1, get a bunch of Pokemon in play, draw through the deck with a bunch of Genesects, just turbo through things, and when you're not doing that, it slows things down quite a bit. Getting rid of those damage modifiers meant even if that game had continued, I still feel like Pablo was in a very good spot. So things were seeming pretty poor for Elena just right off the bat.
Yeah, Battle VIP Pass, one of those high-risk, high-reward cards. You play in your deck, you find a turn 1, it's one of the best items in the format.
Yes.
Able to grab any 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench. But the downside is, while it can be discarded with something like a Cram-O-Matic later on, it is essentially a unplayable card, which clogs up the hands. I mean, it also can be discarded with Quick Ball and Ultra Ball as well, right? There are ways to discard it, but the fact is, by itself, it is unplayable, and it can clog up later on. However, finding them turn 1 is a lot more important than having them later on as we get things shuffled up and ready. I have to almost be certain that Elena will opt to go first in this matchup to try to go for that turn 2. Elisa Sparkle will be a lot easier when you have access to multiple turns of Fusion Strike system. As prizes going out here for Pablo. 1 Arceus in the prizes, nothing out of the ordinary here.
Yeah, that big charm could be problematic being in the prize cards. It's a really important one. So it's in the middle, though. Pablo could take it pretty quickly. A couple Battle VIP Pass in the prize cards. So that's not ideal. And 2 Mew VMAX. That's not great either. Elena does have 3 copies. Some players out there, I saw Tord's list from Liverpool only had 2 Mew VMAX, but thankfully Elena's stuck to the 3. Still has that one to work with, which it does have 310 HP. It's very difficult for it to go down. So as long as you have that one, should be okay for the early game still.
Yeah, I had to look over and check and make sure that it wasn't all of Mew VMAXs. It kind of feels like to add these cards in, like Echoing Horn, more stadiums, players have to cut cards, right? You can't just throw a card in. Yeah, it's the equivalent exchange at that point. We're ready. We're getting into game number 2, though, as Cram-O-Matic looks like flipped heads, so we'll be able to find this Battle VIP Pass. Excellent start here for Elena. I deserve some luck after those 2 tail slips to essentially
I think
lose
it's fair,
game
right?
number 1, as I'm sure we'll see more Genesects come down into play, as well as most likely a Mew to get things started. And a great starter, too, also finds the Meloetta to start things off. Yeah. This Arceus deck has no way to apply real damage on the first turn. I think theoretically you could use a Sobel's attack, Rapid Spin, to deal 20 times. And if you flip double heads, you're only dealing 20 because of the reduced damage. But let's be realistic, that's not happening in this set.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you technically could Power Charge as well, or Power Edge, excuse me, with the Arceus V, but let's be real, it's not happening. Trinity Charge is where it's at, most likely for Pablo. Elena's strategy here is going to be to get down the Mew V, which we see is in play, and then on turn 2, what you want to try to do is get a Mew VMAX, double Turbo Energy, Boss's Orders, knock out an Arceus with an Energy, assuming that Pablo does not get off the Trinity Charge on turn number 1. We'll see if Elena's able to play to that. Things are already looking just so much better, though, the fact that you're able to play the game. You don't have to use all your power tablets for pretty much no reason. Burning a switch here doesn't feel great, but it's not the end of the world, and you get to draw 2 off the Fusion Strike system.
Yeah, interesting choice to not go ahead and attach the Choice Belt to the Meloetta. I did look through the deck, right?
They're probably trying to go in with the Mew on turn 2. That's really kind of the strategy you want to do, is target down that Arceus. So putting the Choice Belt on Mew is really the way to go.
More so, you have 2 Mew in the prize cards, so it's technically a little bit riskier, but you do still have Ultra Ball, right, to go ahead and find that out of the deck, so there is a trade-off. But the more I think about it, it also has a few Stadium cards, too, so I think really just deciding, do I want to play the Stadium card down or discard it here?
Ultra Balls.
We do see Ultra Ball. Go ahead and get rid of it. It will find another Pokemon out of the deck, so this is good. Can get on more off of this first Fusion Strike system, and that last card in hand is another Rose Tower, so we'll at least have an option. But the problem with finding your Stadium so early is Marnie will go ahead and put that onto the bottom of the deck. This doesn't really have, Mew does not play besides the Marnie of Elena's own to shuffle cards back from your hand into your deck. So that card will be kind of stuck in the hand until a path comes down, in which case it will almost likely be played immediately on top of it.
Great decision here from Elena to not put Rose Tower in play. It seems like an easy slam, right? You just put it down and get to draw a few extra cards. You would have had no cards in hand, but this is really what you want to do. Keep that Stadium around, so if Pablo puts a path to the peak in play, you have that answer.
Oh, this is actually very scary for Elena. Drew into the last Stadium card in the deck. So if a Marty comes out, there is no way that a Stadium card will be in that 4 cards that Elena draws. And not only that, you essentially are forced to keep those cards in hand, because if you play them down, it's 1 less out. You have to path to the peak on top of the card also going to the bottom. So it's even more unlikely, as we do see the Quick Ball. This is a perfect turn Gets rid of the water energy, can be Melanie back later, and also gets the Arceus V-Star in play, or in play. Can also start to get that powered up soon, and even has a lot of options. Because Melanie is in this deck, there is technically a world in which an Arceus V-Star can get powered up out of nowhere, so it even gives you the flexibility to, in a world, keep calling a turn, right, or set up the board. So there are a lot of lines here for Pablo to take, but as we've said, an experienced player, a veteran, so to say, in the game. 4-digit Pop ID has been around for a while. And there's a lot of cards here in this hand too, and already has the Melody raw in hand. Will be able to just go ahead and draw 3 more cards, get it powered up, and like I said, if it has another water energy in hand, can go ahead and power it up. Finds a B-Barrel, looks like here.
Not the most helpful cards.
Yeah, it does have Bidoof already in hand, so it can evolve that later on. But you have to imagine...
This is a scary position for the Arceus player with a Mew V in the active. Already has an energy on it, has the damage modifier in the choice belt already, so all Elena needs is a energy card and a boss's orders and a Mew VMAX, which is 3 cards, but for Mew VMAX, that's nothing.
Yeah, this is kind of where you got to debate. Do I just step it up and burn these stadiums to draw more cards and go through the deck, right? Or do I sort of go the more passive route? It's got to feel good, right? You have an opening here. This is a big turn here. If Elena can find this knockout on the Arceus V-Star, this opens up a lot of possibilities. Nice top deck there, I believe, in the Quick Ball. We'll be able to grab another Pokemon and thin the hand a little bit. But eyeing up the stadium, I think that's probably the dilemma, right? Do I want to get rid of these stadiums? Do I feel confident enough in my ability to find boss's orders and the 1 copy of Mew VMAX I have? The only other search card you could use is Ultra Ball. I believe there's already been 1 to 2 of those played so far.
Yeah, it feels bad to lose too many stadiums too quickly, but it's almost a situation where if you just pressure Pablo out of the game, do you even really care that much? Because you're attacking with Mew, and Pablo doesn't have a replacement Arceus. That is a huge hit there on the Cramomatic. Discards a Power Tablet, but hits a heads. Very worthwhile, and can get any card out of the deck now.
Yeah, this is the debate. You need 3 cards, so you need the Mew VMAX, you need the energy, and you need the boss's orders. So it really comes down to not only how many copies are in the deck, but also copies that can search that card out. I have to imagine the boss's orders of the energy are probably the 2 that can get grabbed, technically because Mew VMAX has another couple ways to get searched out. But sure, Elena just considering, what do I have more options to draw into? Obviously, luck is a factor here of which one am I going to draw into, which am I not going to draw into. Here. As it looks like we will see the Quick Ball go ahead and discard the Elisa Sparkle, and this is where the board is going to start to fill up. We're going to see a lot of Fusion Strike systems. It's just Mew doing Mew things.
Mew doing Mew things indeed. With 6 Fusion Strike Pokemon in play, Genesec's ability, Fusion Strike system, will fill the hand to 6 cards every single time Elena chooses to use one of those. It's not a once per turn, like you only get 1 Fusion Strike system. It's once per Genesect, which is absolutely insane.
One of the most powerful abilities I feel like we've ever seen in the Pokemon trading card game.
Yeah,
the ability to draw cards. Essentially a Shaman setup or a Crobat Dark Asset, as we do see the boss's orders got grabbed off the Chromatic.
And there's
finds the Mew VMAX.
Needs the energy. That's the only missing piece. Rotom Phone in hand, can look at the top 5. Leaves you with pretty good odds. Is actually going to hold it here. Draw some with the Fusion Strike system first. I like it.
Ooh, no energy there. Played the Rose Tower down using the first Fusion Strike system. No more stadiums left in deck, so this is the turn we need to find this. Otherwise, you have no way to bump path for the rest of the game if you miss this here. As there is the Quick Ball, going to go ahead and get rid of the Ultra Ball.
Yeah,
just going to go ahead and fail it. Yep. Just wants to thin the hand out anymore. And Rotom Phone. So these are a big 5 cards here off this Rotom Phone. And there's the first card. Also has the Fusion Strike energy as well. I'm sure going to grab the double turbo. You already have the first Fusion Strike energy on. Go ahead and fill that energy requirement. And like that, Elena's going to be able to take this knockout onto this Arceus V-Star, and Pablo is in a world of hurt. Even if you have Path to the Peak to bump this, Mew VMAX is already set up. It really doesn't even need the abilities to draw anymore. You've already found what you need.
Yeah, very good spot for Elena. Mew VMAX, so strong with its cross Fusion Strike, able to copy any of the attacks. Oh, did the card get put in hand from the Rotom Phone? I think Elena forgot to put the card on top of the deck for Rotom Phone. That's the card right there.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that necessarily revolves because it's technically confirmed information.
Right.
That you know the card is there, right?
Yeah,
There's no way that card was
here,
anything.
yeah.
So it looks like we're just going to clarify everything out. 1 Fusion Strike system was used. Rotom Phone was played to put the energy on top set. Hopefully our judges will clarify everything out. We'll get everything settled. I don't think it's a gameplay or a major. Technically, I guess it is if it's drawing an extra card. So this is kind of
as long as both players can confirm that that was the card. You know, if Elena didn't shuffle the hand or anything like that, which I don't think they did, everything should be just fine. And looks like the game will continue on as normal.
Yeah, there's the Fusion Strike energy getting attached to that Mew VMAX. Cross Fusion Strike able to copy that Techno Blast attack, but not done quite yet. Still has another Fusion Strike system. Can just go ahead and fill that hand back up to 6 to end the turn off. And, yep, I'm sure that will be what we're seeing. Not enough energy in play for something like a Melodious Echo to take a knockout. So you will not be able to attack next turn, but we know cards like Switch and Escape Rope can reset that effect. There's a knockout, draws into another one of those Mew VMAX that were in the prize cards, so we'll be able to evolve the other Mew the following turn. Things are looking great for Elena. It's on Pablo now to put together some sort of a comeback. It's going to start with Shady Dealings here to get some trainers out of the deck, and you even have Raihan in hand too, but on top of that, you already know that there is a high probability in that 6-card hand that there is some way for this Mew VMAX to attack again.
Elena, I think, did discard a few Switch already in this game, so there's a chance that if Pablo puts a path to the peak out, that Elena doesn't have the switching card necessary in order to necessarily pull off an attack here. But we know Elena actually just has that old cemetery in hand. Ooh, but this will be kind of interesting. I think was going to put the Collapse Stadium in play, but not. I was just getting it off of the Shady Dealings. Hasn't put it in play quite yet.
Yeah, looks like going to go ahead and play down that second Drizzile here. I believe using that Evolution Incense to go ahead and grab it. And looks like eyeing up a Boss's Orders on the top of the deck. Just trying to decide what is my best strategy. Laying it down, as you said, a fair amount of switching cards. That is technically a potential, but becomes even harder now with the release of Double Turbo Energy to trap something in the active, because one attachment is enough to allow anything in your deck to retreat and go into your main attacker. Plus, it would reset the effect of Techno Blast on the Mew and allow it to attack the following turn. So Pablo definitely has something in mind, though. He wouldn't grab this for no reason whatsoever. Maybe trying to go ahead and set things back a little bit, but I have to imagine there's got to be ups and downs, especially if you're grabbing Boss's Orders here and you're not even guaranteeing yourself something like the Arceus V to get down. You need to establish another one, otherwise you're never going to be putting pressure on, and Mew inevitably is just going to take surprises.
Pablo's going to check the discard here, see exactly what resources Elena has gone through. One of the problems with choosing to play Mew VMAX is that the kind of popularized list is pretty much well known. Anytime your opponent is playing against you, they know, have a general idea of what counts of specific cards you're going to have. Pablo should be aware of how many double turbos are there, how many switching cards are there, and if Elena's down too many of them, even though it is hard and it could take a while, it is possible to just bring up these Genesects over and over again and theoretically deck Elena out.
It is definitely a line. You got to be aware all the time. What are my win conditions? There's 3 in the Pokemon trading card game. Deck out, no Pokemon left, and prize cards. So it looks like we will just see the Boss's Orders and the pass of turn over.
Another heads on Cramomatic.
That's a big flip. Any card out of the deck, I'm sure we'll be seeing something like that switching out, be grabbed. We see both Escape Ropes are the only 2 options left. So no more switch left in the deck. Will mean that Pablo gets the choice to bring something up. I'm sure it will just be the other Sobble that comes up into the active, but could surprise us and throw something else up. But I don't think that will be the case. But just going through, checking, seeing what the grab will be. As there are a lot of options. But yep, there we go. Throws the Escape Rope. That nice gold Escape Rope we saw all the way back in Burning Shadows when that was printed there. Very cool card indeed. Showing off the nice bling and awesome artworks. I'm a big fan of that Genesect V. I think it looks very similar to the Genesect EX all the way back in Plasma Blast. Yes. Sort of similar-esque style of art. Did very well in that art. And honestly, with all the cards in this too. You've even got the Mew VMAX, which looks awesome. So has all the gold cards, all the bling, and cannot back. You can't miss that. You got sort of Roadblock as an ability right on that stadium. Collapse Stadium, laying it down to 4. As just clarifying everything here.
Has the old cemetery in hand, so Elena could choose to bump this Collapse Stadium, but that's the last stadium that Elena has. So that might be what they're thinking about, is just holding that, because if Pablo puts a path to the peak in play and it's countering that old cemetery, that means path is going to be in play for the rest of the game, and that is not a good situation for the Mew player.
No, absolutely not. Did actually have that last stadium card, so Must have maybe been a consideration off of one of those Ultra Balls at points. So good to know that that is still an option to go ahead and dig through the deck, as there's the escape rope. Pretty easy decision there for Pablo. Just going to go ahead and throw the other Sobble up into the active. There's the UV Max coming up. And great thing about this as well, with a low HP target, you can just go ahead and take the knockout with something like Max Miracle. Could even copy something like the Psychic Leap on the bench UV. Oh, actually got evolved so now. But any of the 4 ways to pretty much take a knockout here, gonna go ahead and do that.
Pretty much anything besides using Technoblast,
right.
since that means you would need to switch in order to attack on the next turn. So very great position for Elena. Pablo has an energy on the Drizzile, which means that we could see an Aqua Bullet come out. Not often an attack you see in this matchup. It is one that you try to use with this deck generally. You know, it's really good against something like Malamar. It can be solid in the mirror match as a one-prizer option. I don't feel like I really see players using Aqua Bullet too much against Mew, though.
Yeah, I got to really decide here, Pablo. If you're Pablo, what is your win condition in this game right now? Your opponent's already at 3 prize cards. We'll be taking another prize the following turn. And you've already gone through 30 minutes of this set, so maybe feeling confident enough that I'm going to play to my limited outs. I know my opponent's sort of low on these switching cards at this point, but does go ahead and grab the Path to the Peak off of that Shady Dealings Inteleon. We'll be able to shut off the abilities temporarily. Unfortunately, Pablo unaware that Elena does have that stadium already in hand to go ahead and get rid of the Path to the Peak in that old cemetery. A card we saw a lot at the beginning of Mew's release in these decks, placing 20 damage on a Pokemon that has energy attached to it that is not psychic energy. But it sort of has fallen off a little bit, but we see a lot of interesting plays here. We see the Raihan get played. It's going to be able to attach that energy to that Inteleon, power it up, and it looks like grabbing the double turbo energy out of the deck, setting up for a potential play for an Arceus V-Star to get powered up the following turn.
Yep, really good option. Pablo did grab the Arceus V already this turn. Has the Path to the Peak in hand, so I wonder if Pablo will choose to play that this turn. Will bench the Arceus, and Level Ball can grab another Drizzile. Why not? You know, Shady Dealings one more time seems good to me.
Yeah, also has not used that Industrious Incisors yet. Finds the big charm there off of the Shady Dealings. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult to find the knockout with something like a Technoblast or Melodious Echo. And there's the Path to the Peak. And we haven't even seen the Barrel use the ability yet either, so we'll get 4 cards off that Industrious Incisors. We'll see what gets grabbed there. Another double turbo and an evolution in sense means Arceus V-Star will be online the following turn if Pablo is able to, if that Arceus does not get knocked out, as there is the Aqua Bullet, it looks like, going to be dealing 150 damage to this active, which is actually very, very close to being able to take a knockout, but more importantly is setting up math so that the Arceus V-Star can come in the following turn and take a knockout, and decides to go ahead and put that 20 damage onto that. Nope, not 30. Perfect. Got the 20 damage onto that Genesect. Is also technically relevant because with the reduced damage from the double turbo energy, it will set the math up necessary to go ahead and take a knockout. Looks like clarifying the damage on the active, and it's going to be bad news here for Pablo, as I'm sure Elena will just go ahead and throw down that stadium very, very shortly. It technically could be smart if you have something like a Crematic to give yourself, or limit hand knowledge, right? Because you won't know what gets grabbed off of Crematic, but...
yeah, Elena here really needs to find Boss's Orders and a damage modifier. That's kind of the ideal situation here. Boss plus bring up that Arceus and get one more modifier, or even like another Fusion Strike energy. I think he actually would need 2 more, so it actually is not quite enough. Old Cemetery comes in play, so now the next time this gets bumped, there would be 1 less. There's the damage modifier. Now just needs to find Boss's Orders. Does Elena have the cards to do it?
Ultra Ball is going to be a great start here, though. Going to be able to discard the Oricorio and that double turbo energy. I believe that last card in hand is a Genesect as well, so we're going to be seeing another Fusion Strike system for a perfect 6 cards. Just looking through, considering what the options are there, I'm trying to see what other damage modifier options. It looks like only 1 damage modifier left in the deck in that Choice Belt, so already played the Power Tablet, but at this point, if you're able to get this boss knockout onto this Arceus, the game is essentially over at that point.
Yeah, you're in a great spot. You just need to take a 1 prize KO, which is all Pablo has left in play, so pretty much getting the boss here means the game is all but over.
Here we go. This is going to be a big 6 cards here. And the first card there is the Choice Belt, and that will
already
guarantee
has the Choice Belt on the active.
Oh, Choice Belt, my bad. Yeah, there is the Choice Belt, right? That's hiding under that for me. But actually did not find the Boss's Order.
Not yet, though. Still has a chance to find it, can draw more, has Rotom Phone, has Quick Ball to thin the hand down. Rotom Phone is a great card for situations like this because it just lets you dig quite a bit deeper. Elena just playing Quick Ball, thinning the hand down, doesn't need to get anything out of the deck here.
Yeah, that Choice Belt's kind of hiding from me. It's all tucked under there, but has the other Choice Belt, and I think this is a very smart play. Going to use the other Fusion Strike system, it looks like first, and then you just need to find the one card you put on top of your deck. There's a Boss's Orders, finds it off the Fusion Strike system, and that is a big-time grab that pretty much will seal the game up here for Elena, and that is exactly what you want to find. Has the ability to go ahead and pressure this Arceus V with a knockout. Exactly what you want to see. Go down to 1 prize card. And yeah, just making sure Choice Belt there on the active. I'm sure we will see that Boss's Orders get played. Just checking the amount of cards in hand if there's any combo Pablo can play. I think the only concern, actually not even a concern, because the Fusion Energy blocking the damage from something like a Quick Shooting. But there we go. Boss's Orders bringing up that Arceus V. And this is what you want to see. Pablo running out of options. As we actually are also going to be able to see the Melodious Echo take the knockout, which means there isn't even a switch card that's needed. And Pablo understands that, going to scoop things up. Has plenty of time to play a game, too. We'll probably have about 15 minutes with the start of things. Going to have to play a little bit fast, but it shouldn't be a problem for either of these archetypes. Very commanding game there, though, for Elena. Had the options needed, had the response to Path the Peak, and yeah, really not being able to get down to Arceus V that turn really costed Pablo.
Yeah, I feel like if Pablo could have gotten down to Arceus V, could have been fine because you had Raihan in hand, which is your response to still be able to pull off a Trinity Nova. Pablo didn't get that second Arceus, though, and it just snowballed out of control there. Elena's setup was so much better in that game compared to game number 1. And we're headed to a game 3 now, where both of these players are wanting to do everything that they can to close this match out and come away with a win. Moving to 4-0 at an international championship would feel so good. I know that both of these players would love to be in that position.
Absolutely. Going into the lunch break, what you want to see. They got to play pretty quickly, though. So 15 minutes, we saw about that amount of time be for both of these games. So I'm sure both players understand the situation, understand the clock is a factor. You really want to do everything in your power to not be in that position where you're like, oh, I was 1 turn away from winning. I was so close to being able to close it out. And that's kind of what it's going to come down to at this point. Another thing to note yet, though, Pablo, for the first time this series, will be going first. So he will be able to, not safe, I almost said safely. I remember turn one Meliodas Echo is an option. But
yeah.
At least put himself in a better spot to get that turn to Marty Path to the Peak combination. I have to imagine is looking for not only that Arceus and the attachment, but also the other benched Arceus to be safe, because it is a possibility, as slim as it can sound at sometimes, it is always a possibility for this Mew deck to pop off on turn 1 and go crazy, as we do see the prizes. Ooh, looks like the Raihan is actually in the prize cards.
That can be a really bad card to see prized. A Fusion Strike energy isn't great to see from Elena. Prizes a Mew V and a Mew V Max. Prizing one of the Mew V when you're only playing 3 copies could be a little awkward if Pablo's able to chase those down early, but might not be too big of a deal. We'll see what these opening hands look like. Pablo is certainly looking for an energy on an Arceus, and I don't think has it. Has to attach to a Sobble and is just now passing it over to Elena. Not great.
Wow, no Arceus V, or for that matter, an attachment to an Arceus V. As a big-time miss, and this is opening the floodgates up for Elena as we get into things here for game number 2, starting things off with an Ultra Ball. Gonna go ahead, discard 2 cards, and hopefully get some things started. We already see the Elisa Sparkle in hand, also has something like the double turbo energy, but actually opting to go ahead and discard it off of that. So I actually think we also saw an escape rope. So there are a lot of pieces here right away, and this is kind of where you have to decide here if you're Elena, do you want to go aggressive and find something like a Meloetta? I have to imagine yes, because there's nothing really threatening it the following turn, because there was no Arceus that came down. Actually, there technically could be if there is a Raihan plus an attachment plus a double turbo to the thing, but that feels like it's such a rare possibility, because if your opponent had an Arceus V, they would have already thrown it down on the first turn of the game.
Oh,
There's no reason that they wouldn't do that. So just going to go ahead and look through the deck. Again, prize checking is very important, seeing what options you have still in here, but it looks like it will actually be the Mew V that gets grabbed. But regardless, you already know that you are in a good spot when it comes to pacing. You know that you have essentially a free turn to get off to power your board up because nothing is really being threatened, so to say. I'm sure there is a line where a Melanie plus whatever. There are options, essentially. But Let's Just Sparkle, going to get the energies out of the deck, power things up. Exactly what you want to see here for Elena on turn number 1.
Yeah, good start. And you're not putting the energies onto a Meloetta, which would normally feel not great, but putting them onto a Mew V isn't too bad either whenever your opponent only has Sobbles in play, because Mew V is not going to be KO'd, and Psychic Leap still does 70 damage, which can knock out a Sobble.
Absolutely. Also, yep, does have the escape rope. So
right away, taking a prize on turn 1 feels pretty good for Elena.
And we see that one basic Psychic Energy also being found there means that Psychic Leap already taking the knockout. Nice draw there off the Fusion Strike system.
Two more.
Finds 2 more, and a quick ball, but
nice.
Both those pieces I feel like you really just kind of want to save. Power Tablet and Boss's Orders, the last 2 cards in the hand, especially if your opponent finds an Arceus V the following turn. It would be great to have the Power Tablet plus the Boss's Orders, 2 pieces that you're going to need the following turn if that route opens, and it looks like saying I still have a lot of modifiers still left in the deck. It's pretty unlikely.
Yeah, I think it's fine. You really need to fill the hand with the Mew VMAX deck because you don't have traditional draw supporters, right? There's no research, only 1 copy of Marnie. So whenever you find these pieces, whenever you have kind of awkward hands like this, they're just going to be stuck being awkward unless you draw more cards. And that's exactly what Elena's doing, getting another Genesect in play. Even though they lost an important resource in the Power Tablet, they've established the board a little bit better and get rewarded as well by finding a Battle VIP pass.
Looks like the first time we're going to see it played down this set. It feels crazy. I feel like every time I watch Mew, I find a Battle VIP pass 2 being played straight from their hand. But actually, no, we did see last game off the Cramomatic, so not directly from the hand, though. Finds it, has it. It's a great feeling to get both those Pokemon down. Looks like eyeing up a Mew, and I have to imagine either another Genesect or a Meloetta as the grabs here. You're not really in a pressured situation to play go for a Melodious Echo play because you're probably looking for a Boss's Orders, which is in the hand there for Elena going into this. Going to go ahead and grab both of those. You'll get 1 more Fusion Strike system this turn. You've already drawn through so much of your deck. It's a great feeling here for Elena, as we do see, it looks like...
Maybe debating if that Genesect is what they wanted to grab or not.
I believe it already started the shuffling process,
right.
though, so you are locked into grabbing that once you start shuffling. Otherwise, you can kind of mix and match and see what looks prettier on your board if you're into color scheme and stuff like that.
Yeah, but this is a really good position for Elena still. I don't even mind grabbing the Genesect, to be honest. Whenever your opponent didn't even get an Arceus down, you just want to set up to try to boss down any Arceus that comes into play from Pablo. We can almost see a repeat situation sort of what happened in game number 2. A little different since, you know, going first versus going second, but very nice. Elena taking a prize card here on game 1. Turn 1. Has the Boss's Orders in hand, already ready to go to target down a potential Arceus from Pablo.
It would have been nice to find the Mew VMAX there off the prizes. That's the one piece that is currently missing in this hand, but beggars can't be choosers, right? So
I think Elena will take that turn every single time.
So at this point, it is what it is. A very strong start here for Elena. Looks like able to find the Arceus V and the energy attachment, but this is where things get scary. You do have the ability to play Path to the Peak here with this Drizzile. Shady Dealing's going to grab that. We'll see if that is the option. And yep, believe it or not, going to go ahead and find that Path to the Peak. Already has the Marnie in hand. And
this is Pablo's chance in this game. This is what Pablo needs. Put Path to the Peak in play. Play the Marnie and disrupt your opponent and just hope that that sticks in play, that they're not able to draw any cards, and just maybe you'll be able to play the next turn after this one.
There we go. Going to go ahead and put that 1 card at the bottom of the deck.
Elena
Unfortunate,
as well.
Elena's going to get 4. None of those cards, I believe, were Stadium, so that has to be at least hopefully I'll draw in a Stadium sort of type of mindset.
Sure.
It's going to be a big 5 cards here for Pablo. Very nice. Does find a quick ball, so we'll be able to get down another Arceus V to be safe from a crazy play with Stadium and Boss's Orders and Mew VMAX and whatnot. So looks like eyeing up discarding the Water Energy. I feel like you'd want to probably attach that the following turn, so you don't have to attach maybe another double turbo, but I think it's fine at the end of the day. You're discarding one of those energy, and double turbo has more of a wide variety.
I think it's better than discarding the research in hand. Cards. So yeah, it's what you got to do. Pablo discards the energy, gets an Arceus V down, and is going to be content with this turn and just cross the fingers and hope that there's no Stadium from Elena.
Yeah, no bench Sobbles either to back up this active. At the best case scenario for Pablo is something like this active gets knocked out, or I guess there is a play, but...
Oh, the Stadium was the top deck! I don't think that they had anything, but now has the Mew VMAX and the Stadium card as well.
Yeah, I think considering whether you even want to play something like that this turn could potentially be an option.
I mean, I'm bossing that Arceus every single time. I'm trying to take that knockout on that double turbo energy, force Pablo to find a Melanie or a Raihan in order to even attack.
Yeah, it definitely is an option to look at, too. You technically could be okay taking a knockout of Drizzle because it sets up a nice prize mapping for you for the rest of the game. Get rid of
it should always be there, though. There's always going to be a one prizer in play for you to target down, it feels like.
Doesn't force you to play boss, but I agree with you, though.
Elena's thinking about playing the Alessa Sparkle, though, and so playing that slower play like you were mentioning.
Yeah, it looks like... oh, just wants to make sure you... looks like maybe considering... electing targets or playing the card, or yeah, it looks like just gonna go ahead and get those energies into play. This is a fine play for sure. You could even go ahead and throw the energy down onto the Genesect now, right? Because that could be a potential option. But understanding that one of them is in the prize cards, I believe, so there is.
Even if you're not taking out the energy here, even just attacking into a two-prizer feels pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
So Elena can even just find Escape Rope this turn, and that would be pretty solid.
Yeah, just debating whether or not you want to dig through and have an out to path this turn rather than the next turn. I do agree.
Yeah, if you already have everything you need this turn, I guess it's true.
Yeah, you definitely don't have to dig farther.
As Mew, though, I don't ever really mind just trying to fill my hand up and draw as many cards as possible. But Elena will play it slower, use that Max Miracle, take the KO, and now it's over to Pablo.
Action going to be on Pablo here. Looks like has the double turbo energy, so hitting for 40 less, but still you are going to be taking a 2-hit knockout onto this Mew, so the math is not as relevant. Only case it kind of matters would be if you were to take a knockout of something like that Genesect. You're now not doing enough, even with something like an Inteleon Ping or a Choice Belt. So it does have the Evolution Incense as well, so we'll be able to guarantee the Arceus V-Star. But now, because you have Path to Peak in play and it wasn't bumped, that is a smart line for Elena, understanding that if Path stays into play, you would need to have to play that Collapse Stadium in order to use that V-Star power, and will give Pablo less options to find the exact cards he's looking for this turn. As just going to go and check through the discard pile, check the options played, and there really hasn't been too much Elena has played. Still has access to a lot of those power tablets, the choice belts, the damage modifiers, and by taking a knockout at anything that on the bench, it also opens that bench slot up to that Meloetta, which I have to imagine Elena wants to get down, especially with 3 Fusion Strike energy already in play.
This is where things get really awkward for the Mew player, because these Arceus V-Stars just have so much HP. That's why I was like thinking about trying to target down those Arceuses with Boss before they have a chance to become V-Stars, because that just means you need so much more in order to reach for these one-hit knockouts.
Yeah, looks like going to be playing the long game. 2-hit knockouts are the play here, it looks like, for Elena, as we are going to see a Trinity Nova dealing 160 damage, plus the 30 from the choice belt, so 190. A lot of different damage modifiers and demodifiers, increases and decreasers. So if that's even a word, I'll figure it out. But regardless, though, going to be dealing plenty of damage to set up for this 2-hit knockout onto the Mew. Finally figured it out. There's the 190. We are going to see the 3 water energy accelerated for that bench Arceus V. So in a miracle scenario where 3 power tablets get played, this Arceus will be able to potentially get attack on the bench as well. As we do see, there are some cards to work with as well for Pablo. So action's going to be here onto Elena. Just want to continuously point out, though, that Fusion Strike energy at the top of the prizes means this Meloetta 280 possibility is off the table, but we're going to get things rolling here off with an Ultra, with a Quick Ball. Just wants to thin the deck out, and we are going to see the Rose Tower come into play, can draw 1 off that to start the turn, and then get this party kicking with all the Fusion Strike systems.
Yep, plenty of Genesects to come. Finds the old Cemetery, a little awkward of a time to draw that. So you can see Elena kind of shuffling the hand, a little frustrated almost to see that card there. Those 3 in hand are not super helpful. Boss's Orders could be a decent option, though, because that can target down the Arceus V on the bench, which is a little easier to KO than this active V-Star.
Yeah, Pablo doesn't really have this Sharon's Care. We haven't that get played at all this set, but this would be a great opportunity for something like that to come into play. As a Rotom Phone, a few cards to look at. Looks like the Choice Belt will be the grab to go ahead and put that onto the top of the deck to draw into it with a Fusion Strike system. You're getting a little bit closer now to being able to take a knockout. It means you need 2 more damage modifiers, so you need to find 2 power tablets. It's still possible, right? Anything is possible with Mew, I feel like I'm saying. There's Charismatic's ability to draw cards, but it looks like eyeing up the boss's orders instead, or as well to be played, to maybe go after this Arceus that has 250.
Well, thinking about it, because right now you're only drawing 1 card with Fusion Strike System.
That's true.
And you know what the 1 card is, and it's Choice Belt. So I think by playing this boss, now you only need 2 modifiers in order to get this KO. So you're forcing yourself to need less, and you know you're getting one of those pieces right away.
Finds the Choice Belt put on top of the deck as well as a switch. Could go ahead and play a little bit more aggressively to get rid of those resources to draw some more cards. We do see that get played. And this is going to be Fusion Strike System number 3, drawing 2 more cards. We'll see if there is a power tablet or something else there. And there it is, the first card there finds the power tablet.
Nice.
And that is a big time grab. That means this Arceus V will fall. And on top of that, Elena will put down to just 2 prize cards left as we're nearing the final 2 minutes of this round number 4.
Yeah, Pablo's frustrated with that. You can just kind of see. Pablo's very much a player who wears his heart on his sleeve, and you can tell when he's frustrated, and he does not like to see that other modifier come into play, because now Elena is just a echoing horn play away from closing this game out.
And we see the retreat into that Mew VMAX. It's already powered up. He's got the Fusion Strike energy, and the Choice Belt will be dealing 270 damage to this Arceus V.
Yep.
Enough to take the knockout. 10 short for the V-Star, but taking 2 prizes, exactly what you want to need here. This is going to be a very interesting end game as we get down to things here. Pablo is sort of running out of options necessarily to close things out, but he can take a 3-prize turn this time. So it's anyone's game, to be honest, as dominating as that turn was here for Elena. Unfortunately, the Fusion Strike energy in the final 2 prize cards. So I have to imagine probably looking for that as an option, but you're already going to be losing 1 anyways with this getting knocked out. So here we go. Pablo
and not
has
as big of a
plays.
deal. I think here this next turn, Elena got the Mew VMAX, which is kind of the key card that they wanted to see. Now can evolve that benched Mew V on this next turn, and really, I think is going to be going for that echoing horn play we were talking about.
There is that Starbirth V-Star power being used, grabbing the 2 cards that are the big combo for this deck. Path to the Peak and Marnie, the 2 cards being grabbed. Already has everything needed to attack, and this is going to be a big play for Pablo. If this can stick, it would leave Elena with no attackers left in play, and this is a big-time opening. And we already saw as well that there is 1 more Stadium card in that hand that is going to
so putting it on the bottom now,
Correct.
It makes it less likely that Elena is going to be able to find a Stadium card. Really going to hope to get it off of these 4 cards. Pablo, I think hoping for an Arceus V, maybe. I actually, do you even want to bench an Arceus V at this point? You just kind of have to ride on the back of the active one.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of shuts off your ability to use something like Charon's Care to set up some math.
Right.
I think you have to kind of go down this route of say.
But then putting it in play gives Elena the easy target. So it's a tough choice. I think you almost have to put it in play, though, unfortunately.
She found the Stadium, though. She has
got it in hand already? Oh, my goodness.
Has the Rose Tower off the Marnie. So it looks like Pablo will grab it. Whether that Arceus V-Star gets benched is a question, but I cannot stress that enough. A huge grab there for Elena. Has that energy, or excuse me, that Stadium card. And with double turbos available, that means this Mew VMAX will have the potential to attack this turn. And this is a big opening here for Pablo, but I believe understands that putting that into play could spell danger for sure. However, I do have to look through and see how many are in the discard pile. Obviously, we don't have full information here.
The one is in there, right? Because Elena just knocked it out.
I have to see, though.
That's all that matters, is just the one being in the discard.
Yeah. But still with 1 damage modifier, it is still
you mean the modifiers?
Yeah, but even like a Choice Belt or 1.
I think you're talking about how many Arceus V were in the discard pile.
Yeah, but there are plenty there. We see the knockout, and Pablo, I'm sure, is not going to be very happy about this one. Able to find this Pounder Stadium right away to get rid of the Path to Peak. What Pablo is banking off of as he goes down to 3 prize cards, and this is going to be the turn for Elena. I feel like if she's able to at least attack, because Pablo didn't commit to that plan of hoping that they don't have boss, you now shut off the ability for Sharon's Care. I have to wonder there, though, like, if it's a Marty for 4, they would need to find boss plus Stadium plus energy. Was it maybe correct to try to bench that and then go for a Sharon's Care? I feel like it leaves you with more options than Arceus V, that if it's being hit into, it's really just...
This is a really tough situation for Pablo, pretty much regardless of what line he chose to take. Elena is playing a quick ball out here, can get another basic Pokemon, which would be a Fusion Strike Pokemon, of course, so now Fusion Strike System will get you that extra card. So we're going to see a lot of cards drawn here. Elena needs to find the double turbo energy, the echoing horn, and of course that boss's orders.
Yeah, slow rolling the stadium has not played it down yet. It's just the thinking through exactly what to grab off the quick ball and saying, oh, when I'm ready, I'll go ahead and play it. It's a Rose Tower as well, so it means we'll be able to draw cards because that hand size is low after the Marnie. So something just to note, we'll be able to grab a Meloetta, discarding a Meloetta. So smart play there to not just bench it right away, thin the deck out a little bit, give yourself options more so what you have in deck, what you don't have in deck, and this is where things are going to get interesting. Pretty thin deck as well, has I believe 2 double turbos still left in the deck.
Spinning the card around on the bench and throws it into play. Rose Tower draws 3 more cards. Cram-O-Matic is 1, and a power tablet. That's one of the pieces needed.
Yeah, we'll need, I believe, 3 damage modifiers still. There's no way that this Arceus V-Star, I believe, gets knocked out because of the...
Yeah, needs it for to knock out an Arceus V on the bench with the, to pull off the full play of course, the echoing horn.
Unfortunate tail slip, though. Unfortunate tail slip there off the Chromatic would have guaranteed the energy.
Still seeing so many cards,
yeah, you haven't used any, there haven't been any Fusion Strike system used yet. Here's the first one for 6. Not quite able to see exactly what's in the hand there, keeping it a mystery for us. Just the shadow as we'll look through and see exactly what to grab.
Ball.
You got that gold Plasma Freeze, Ultra Ball getting played down. Means that 3 cards at minimum will be drawn off the second Fusion Strike system. This is exactly what you want to see if you're Elena. You just got to be able to find that double turbo energy, and you will be in an excellent spot to close this game out. As I believe time is over on our display here, but could be a little bit different for the players. We'll have to check and see exactly when time is called, as that player will be turn 0. Could be very important if it's Elena's turn, who is very close to winning in this case, or Pablo. Technically, either one is, in theory, 2 attacks away, though, from taking this game.
Certainly. Elena checking the deck here. I think still off this Ultra Ball. Just looking at all the options available. See, is that horn? That horn is in there, right? Should be. Just kind of checking through, maybe doing a little bit of quick math. There's that double turbo energy.
Oh, that's potential. That could potentially.
Yeah, that's the play that they need, and of course the boss's orders to combo with it. So 3 cards missing, 3 Fusion Strike systems still to be used. Lots of cards can be drawn. This is certainly possible. And the thing is, you need to draw them in the right order. Drawing the drawing the boss's orders before drawing Echoing Horn is actually really bad. So you want to find that horn first if you can.
Yeah, using the switch to draw an extra card here off the Fusion Strike system. Getting, looks like 5, 6,
full 6.
Fresh 6 cards off the second Fusion Strike system. And this is going to be big. What cards is Elena able to find in this hand here? It looks like has the choice belt already, so already have the damage modifier, so not as relevant.
Just thinning one more card out, though.
It is one card that is not a unfittable card, but it looks like just debating whether or not there is anything else to play out of the hand. Unfortunately, can't see exactly what she's got here, but we will exactly figure out if anything else can be played, what else can be drawn. I got to imagine it's not a whole lot of playable stuff like an Ultra Ball or Quick Ball. I'm sure that would be thrown down right away. But it looks like just checking through the options to see what has been played.
Yeah,
and there it is.
is.
Echoing Horn going to go ahead and put that Arceus V onto the bench. Pablo understands now. This is what the play is. This is what the line
is. And there's the boss. Just needs the double turbo now. Last piece missing. Can Elena find it or not? This is the difference between winning this game or potentially having to tie this match.
It's a big Rotom Phone.
Sees 5 cards. I think there's only 1 double turbo energy left in the deck. Let's see. Is it in these top 5?
It looks like it's not. I'm pretty sure there weren't many thinnable cards there in those 5. I have to imagine if it's not that you want a card, you can go ahead and throw down. There's still 2 Fusion Strike system left. There's a potential that something can maybe shuffle the deck up. I can't see exactly how many cards are left in the hand, as there actually is something. There's a Chromatic in hand already.
Okay.
So it looks like just going to go ahead and use the second Fusion Strike system, keeping the cards in the hand. What is a draw here? There is not there, but does still have Chromatic. I believe it's actually might just be guaranteed because of the
with the Ultra Ball, yeah. 3 cards left in deck. It's guaranteed as long as that double turbo is in the deck. Fusion Strike system can draw those last remaining cards. Play the Cram-O-Matic just because. Tails doesn't even matter.
Yeah, just thinning it fully, and there is the Fusion Strike system.
Just needs the double turbo.
And there is the double turbo energy. Has it, able to deal enough damage to knock out this Arceus V. Elena gonna go ahead and take this series 2-1 in a nail-biter game 3. things got a little shaky there at the end, but was able to close things out and take this, moving to 4-0 in Swiss round number 4. Very well played, showing us why Mew VMAX is considered to be one of, if not the best deck right now in the standard format.
What an absolute turn of events. Game 1 was miserable. Elena's opening hand was 2 Boss's Orders and 3 Power Tablets, and that game was over in 2 turns. Pablo won that one in dominating fashion, but Elena did not let their head fall down, kept it up, and kept charging forward, was able to win a game 2, force a game 3, and found the